What's up, world? You're welcome to Next Telly. We are still continuing on our 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Y'all, this is going to be the last episode or the last of the series, which I think this is part 3 now, or is this part 4? I don't even remember. I'll check it out. But in case you're interested in others, I'm going to keep a playlist here that has all the other ones that we've talked about concerning this same book. This book is full and oh my god, it is awesome. So let's begin. Welcome back. If this is your first time, I am Nez. Welcome to Nez Telly, a channel devoted to books. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe, join the community. We are here reading books and looking to books as a form of solution. And welcome to the end of 2020. We're going to start 2021 very soon. And of course, subscribers, you guys are the G's. You guys stood with me through this year. Thank you. Okay, so let us begin. We stopped at the last of the series, we stopped at law number 14, which was the law of the buy-in. So we'll start with law number 15, which is the law of victory. Now, they said a leader always finds a way to win. I think this actually goes without saying, but still, a lot of us who consider ourselves leader also throw in the towel very easily. Like, well, I tried my best, I can't keep myself, whatever, I don't do again. That is very faulty. That is not the making of a leader. As a leader, the law is that you should always seek victory. Find creative ways. Look at the situation from a 360-degree angle or a 700-degree angle. Just keep trying to figure out the best way to solve this problem, to win, to make your team win, to make if it's your work, your department, whatever it is you're doing, or even if it's your family, try to make it a win for everybody, okay? The law of victory is very important. Look at it as a form of winning. Don't do something, then halfway be like, I've tried, I did the best that I could, and well, I can't do anything again, so bye. Try to always win, okay? Work and look for ways to always win. So that's law number 15. Law number 16 is the law of the big mo. This, I think, excited me a lot. The law of the big mo is actually like motion. Is it motivation? What's that called? The law of, momentum. Thank you. So momentum is the leader's best friend, the law of the momentum. Now, the thing with the big mo is that a lot of us assume that the big mo just falls on you once you become a leader. A lot of times, when you've already decided that you want to do something, you continue to work at it with small momentum. And momentum comes from when you actually win. So it's actually connected to law 15 because when you do something and it works out, you tend to want to do more of it. But for some reasons, a lot of us tend to, when we do something and we achieve it, we're like, okay, so we did well, then we relax. No, work with the momentum. Once you win small, you have a tendency to win big, bigger, biggest, larger, largest, greater, greatest. The momentum is a lifetime thing. Do you understand? Your momentum is something you have to always work with. Even if you fail once or you do something that didn't quite work out well, you have to get up and continue to work on whatever momentum that you have. Don't let yourself run out of momentum. So the big mo, which is the big momentum, is your best friend. So yes, the law of the big mo, that's number 16. I love this one, honestly. The law of priorities. Activity and accomplishments. Activities and accomplishments is not, activities is not the same as accomplishments. Do you understand? Literally, that's what I got from this. Priorities make you to understand the activities that are important in your life. The bigger you get, the higher you grow as a leader, the bigger you become as a person, the more responsibilities you take on as a person. You have a tendency to want to do everything at all the time. You have to learn very quickly at what point you should delegate. My pastor, Pastor Sam Adeyemi, would always say that when it comes to church activities or whatever the speaking programs that he has, whatever classes he has to take, whatever he has to take, that there are two things that he knows that once those ones show up, he cannot delegate, and that is him being a husband and him being a dad. That's being a husband to his wife and being a dad to his kids. Nobody can do that one for him. So every other thing, somebody else can do it. Some people will be disappointed, that's fine, but he'd rather disappoint those people than disappoint his family. More often than not, when people take on great leadership roles, other parts of their lives tend to suffer. So as a leader, you have to learn the law of priority. Decide what is important to you and then focus on that. You get, so that no matter what happens, every other thing can come up. You could do it or not do it, but just understand that these particular things must always be priority. If it's something that you have to do every day to make sure that this priority does not feel neglected, do it. Okay, so that's a lot of priorities. Activity is not the same as accomplishment. Just because you have a busy day does not mean that you're doing the best things that need to be accomplished in your life. So that's number 17, the law of sacrifice. Okay, so the law of sacrifice is another lifetime law. As a leader, your sacrifice must, as in, how do I put it? First of all, you have to understand you have to sacrifice a lot as a leader. It goes without saying. You're going to sacrifice. You're going to sacrifice your time. You're going to sacrifice, like, I think about, okay, I just found out that in 2020, I read 80 books. And a lot of people were telling me things like, you're a very busy person. Like, I'm a fashion designer, and you're busy, you have a child, you're married, and all that. How do you find time to read? It's sacrifices. What I'm just saying is that you have to understand that sacrifice is a lifetime thing. You will continue to sacrifice. As long as you want to be a leader, you're going to sacrifice one thing. So it's like, sit down, analyze your life, know that some things are going to have to go. Some of those things are things that are going to be very painful. Sometimes you might have to move from somewhere you're very comfortable with and you love to a place that you're not comfortable with and you're not really crazy about. But that's it. That's the point with being a leader. You have to understand that those things have to be sacrificed. So the law of sacrifice, and it's a lifetime thing. The higher you grow, the more sacrifice you have to do. That's just how it is. So the law number 19 is the law of timing. This one, I think, is like one of the most important law, because when I think of leadership, I think that this is the first thing that comes to my mind. The law of timing. When you think of the time to do a thing, you have to get to a point where you understand quickly that the timing is very important. Sometimes some things come too early, but the worst is when something comes too late. I don't know how to explain it. Imagine as a parent, you had a child who had been complaining to you about a particular relative constantly. This person, I don't like the person bothers me, blah blah blah, and you're like, it's your cousin, relax, come on, be friendly, be nicer, you're a child of God, just keep throwing words in the air and telling the child, manage the matter, it's not that bad. What's the point of being your cousin? You have to be able to share your home with them. You have to so you say all that consistently, and maybe this child is like, let's say 3 when this happens. Then the child turns 8, constantly complaining of the same thing. Then you realize that this cousin was doing something terrible to her, maybe bullying her, like greatly belittling her, and then this child has changed, her or him, sorry, by the way, because it can happen to anybody. So it's like you find out that this cousin has been literally berating and bullying and making this child feel less than themselves for the past like 5 years. The law of timing comes into play there, because from the jump you were told, but you didn't do anything about it. So you waited till they were 8. Why should the child even trust you? Even if you do anything to solve the situation, stop that cousin from coming around, or punish the cousin, or do whatever, and all that. 5 years has passed. The law of timing is so important, because even at 8, this child clearly doesn't have any trust. Why should they tell you they have problems? Why should they tell you when, I don't know, any other problem that they have? They shouldn't. That's the fact. So you have to work extra hard. Another law of time. You have to now work another 10 years or so to get the point where they trust you, to be able to tell you that problem, knowing fully well that you can do something about it. The law of timing is so important, I'm telling you. I think it's the most, because anytime I think of leadership, I think of timing. Timing is so important. Some things come before their time, it's true, but the ones that come late, when you show leadership when it's late, it's really bad. It's destroyed. A lot of those that have caused wars in countries. Timing. You did not do this one on time. The law of timing. So that's number 19. Number 20 is the law of explosive growth. To add growth, it's equal that I wrote there. To add growth, lead followers. To multiply, lead leaders. Now, I think in this point, he was talking about the importance of making your leaders to become followers. Sorry, making your followers to become leaders. Understand that you're being a leader. I think he also links to the law of empowerment. Understand that you're leading people. You're having these wonderful followers and all that. It is good. I think it feels very good for the ego when you have people that are always like, oh, anytime you say anything, they'll come to you. They know that you're their person and all that. But you have to quickly get to a point where those people also become leaders themselves. That's the point of empowerment. Remember, lifting people up above you. Let them be empowered. So the law of explosive growth comes from there. When you have leaders as your followers, they go and they start in their own sects, with their own creativity, with their own specialty, with their own skill. They go and they explode as leaders. So understand that for you to be an amazing leader, understand that explosive growth is very important, and that comes from leading leaders. So you have followers only for a period of time. Let's say 2 years, 3 years, depending on whatever kind of set you have running. Do you understand? But just bear in mind that those people have to go and start their own as leaders. And it shouldn't be something that you quarrel about. It shouldn't be something that will cause strife between you and them. They cannot be under you consistently. Seriously. Law of empowerment, I talked about it. Okay, then last, definitely not the least, is the law of legacy. Law of legacy is a question a lot of us don't like talking about, but it's a question of what we actually do need to discuss. It's a conversation that we don't like talking about, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. And that is death. I keep talking about it. You're going to die at one point. I know you don't like the sound, but you're going to die. If you don't die now, you're going to die in 5 years, you're going to die in 50 years, you're going to die in 100 years. Let's say that you live up to 100, but you're going to die at one point. What legacy are you going to leave? What are you going to be remembered for? The handing over of your legacy, that's your leadership. If you're able to build those wonderful, we see this happen way too many times in Nigeria. I have like 3 names in my head right now, but I don't want to name them, so it won't be like, but there are businesses that were doing so well when the pioneer, the person that started it, was there, and then they die, and maybe their kid takes over or somebody else takes over, and the thing just goes. So like, did they not teach anybody while they were doing this? Was nobody learning? Was there nobody that you were calling to the side and saying, see, this is how we do this? There was no hurios. Hurios is a Jewish term. There was nobody that you sat down and said, okay, my son, learn this so that you can also be like that. As in, none of that. Because you see it, the person dies 5 to 10 years after the thing is a shadow of itself. That's if it's still alive. It goes, bam, it dies. You don't die, you don't go, you know. Do you understand? Your legacy is so important. So what you want to do now, what I said about this book that I really like is that the man talks about the law, then gives you ways that you can solve these problems in these laws, how to achieve this law in your life. So the legacy, what you want to do is ask yourself, what do you want to remember for when you die? When you figure that out, then find people in your life. There's a point to the law of the inner circle. When you have people in your lives that encourage you, that lift you when you're in a down place, talk to those people about the best way to achieve these things you want to achieve, and then try to achieve them. But understand something, you're going to go. What are you going to leave behind? What are you going to be known for? If it's not important to you, I think it's fine and good. But if it's important to you, then do something about it. That is the point of leadership. He used what's that thing called? Relay, right? Is it relay that is called? The one where you pass the baton, right? Is that the relay race? What makes a relay race important or makes it successful? A relay team is being able to hand over properly. It doesn't matter how fast the runners are. It doesn't matter how skilled, how many years of experience. It doesn't matter all that. If one person cannot hand the baton to the other person, relay don't die. Anyway, that is the last. Then he went on to draw a conclusion where he said, everything rises and falls on leadership. I think if you look at Nigeria, we know that there is a huge void in leadership. That is why I decided to sit down and dissect this book the way I did. That being said, I would really advise that you go and buy this book. It's available just about everywhere you check. This book was written in 1998. It's an old book. Do you understand? But there's a revised edition that was written in 2000. That's 10 years after. That was 2008. And that's the one I listened to on script. I realized I prefer that to this one. This is also very good, I ain't gonna lie. But I prefer that one because that one had more explanation as to the how to become this thing, how to do this thing. I prefer that over this one. This one had this one had charts and graphs which made it easy to understand, but I still prefer the other one. So if you can find script, if you're on script already, go and find this book and listen to it. It is absolutely necessary that you become a leader, because for you to be reading, that means clearly leadership is not something you're far away from. So please try to become a leader so that we can fix this situation we have going on here. Everything rises and falls on leadership. I will never forget that statement. If leadership fails, then everything else fails. So the importance of being a leader, the importance of acting like a leader, the importance of being leaders, it cannot be toyed with or it cannot be played with. So thank you so much for watching. Guys, New Year is near. My next video is going to be a New Year video. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you so much for sticking with me through 2020. This is our last video for this month. I cannot wait to do the next video with you guys, and we can start our 2021. Hope you're still writing your goals. Hope you're still writing it. Don't worry if you don't write it by the end of the year. That doesn't mean you shouldn't write it. Me personally, I used to write my goal in January of every month. That was before of every year. Sorry, that was before though. I've changed that. But so just write it whenever you want to. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please leave a comment below on any of those laws that you like. If you've read this book before, what do you think? Are you a big fan of John C. Maxwell? Let me know about that. And I would also like to know what you're doing this Christmas. That would be interesting. Or this season. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye now.